is the relationship. It is a subtle relationship between the mission strategy and the work of the Holy Spirit. The title, at the core of the mission strategy, seeking the point where the Holy Spirit works. Actually, these are 25 pages paper, so I make it pretty short, just get some key points. We know that mission strategy plays a very important role in the mission studies. While mission strategy considered as a prayerful, discerned, spirit-guided, and supernatural process anchored on the reality of the mission day, which emphasizes an overall process describing what we believe the Lord would have us accomplish to make disciples of all nations. It is practice still heavily depends on cultural anthropology in the framework of contextualization. On the one hand, it emphasizes the power of the Holy Spirit, and on the other hand, it largely depends on anthropological methodology, which seems to have turned the strategic research into a social science and raised a concern about whether it is a product of the Enlightenment project or not. This dual attribute of mission strategy makes it necessary to explore the relationship between the two and find a balanced point between them. Now the first point, the strategy of God and the work of the Holy Spirit. This part mainly aims to answer this question. Is the strategy contradictory to the attribute of God? The word strategy does not appear in the Bible, but its basic meaning encompasses some important attributes of God. The Cambridge Dictionary defines it as a detailed plan for achieving success, and the New Oxford Dictionary interprets it as a plan of action or policy designed to achieve a major or overall aim or an art of planning. In mission studies, this term is explained with the similar notions, such as it is a future orientation and a plan for process, or it is an overall plan, principle, or ways by which resources and opportunities will be utilized in mission. In general, this is a comprehensive plan for the future. The Bible describes God as a God who makes strategy to achieve his divine purposes. God always institutes the plan of action that might involve particular individuals or corporately nations in order to realize his providential purposes. This plan or strategy for his providential purpose is revealed in the history of salvation, especially in the Bible. When we read the first 11 chapters of Genesis, it is the whole world as its scope. And then in chapter 12, we see God choose a person, Abraham. But not Abraham, all the descendants of Abraham will be the target of this Bible narrative. We see the Bible narrowed down again to the Isaac, not Ishmael, then to Jacob, not Esau. But in the Jacob, the 12 tribe only focus on the Judah, and then to David, the royal family of David, and then Jesus. We can see the whole Bible from the whole world and then narrow down to Jesus. And then from Jesus, again, to the whole world. So the beginning, the lost paradise, in the end, that is a resumed paradise. So this is a general strategy in God's plan. From the whole world to one person, that is Jesus Christ. And then from one person, Jesus Christ, back to the whole world. This is the great centripetal and then the centrifugal strategy plan for God's salvation and mission in this world, carrying the messianic and missiological significance. Strategy, so it means strategy does not contradict God's nature, but on the contrary, it reflects God's attributes. Therefore, it goes in harmony with the work of the Holy Spirit, through which one can have the deepest sense of the presence of God when seeking the divine guidance. The work of the Holy Spirit can help people touch the inmost secret of God and the soul's mystery. It plays a significant role in God's plan for groups or individuals in their spiritual lives. More importantly, the Holy Spirit empowers the gospel workers to be the witness of Jesus from Jerusalem to the end of the earth, according to Acts chapter 1:8. So this this is about the strategy of God and the work of the Holy Spirit. The second, we talk about the strategy of man and the work of the Holy Spirit. Human beings are created in the image of God as the crowning part of God's creation, with inbuilt longings for God. With that image, human can have the connection point to establish the relationship with God, so that they will be like Him more and more for His glory. At the same time, being made in the image of God indicates the free will to choose obedience or disobedience. After the fall, that image was seriously defaced or distorted, even though not destroyed. Since then, the strategy planned by humans have become evil, completely opposite to what the Holy Spirit teaches. The strategy of man that goes against the Holy Spirit can be demonstrated through so many examples in the Bible, like Adam and Eve. They take the fig leaf to cover themselves. Cain tried to build a city instead of the mark that God gave him. And also, even God's people, like Abraham, when he encounters danger, he tried to hide his wife's identity. Not his wife, but his sister. And even like David, when he tried to kill Uriah and to take his wife, he made a very strategy to make this plan. So this evil of the human strategy can be demonstrated in the Bible. And beyond the Bible, the use of strategy is even more extreme, especially in the military and commercial fields. A typical example is a strategic book in Chinese, ancient strategic Sun Tzu. If you know this book, The Art of War, written 2,500 years ago. And the main idea is the military never tires of deception. In both history and the present world, the strategy of disinformation is widely used, especially with the emotional hook, to create stronger reactions. So there are many things, I will just neglect that. And next, moreover, some people even use the faith as a weapon, as a strategy in their commercial or political competition. Scholars call it as God strategy. Make God as a strategy to fulfill one's personal ambition. So they try to achieve their personal ambition through calculated, deliberate, and partisan use of faith. Generally, in human nature, after the fall, is corrupted, and the human strategy goes against the work of the Holy Spirit. So, the Bible gives us the advice, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding, Proverbs 3:5. And now the third point, the strategy of mission and the work of the Holy Spirit. This part aims to answer two questions. How should a missionary deal with the divine and human factor in mission strategy? The second, to what extent one can use the anthropological principle in mission strategy and at the same time receive the power of the Holy Spirit. So to answer this question, we need to understand two things. The first is about the dual nature of mission. Of course, the concept of mission is developed from the Latin word mitto and or missio, mission to send. And in the beginning, this word is attributed to describe the sending within the Trinity, not what the church do. So later, after the 16th century, it goes to describe how the missionary carries God's gospel to this world. And then in the 20th century, we already mentioned that in the previous presentation, especially in 1932 and then 1952, the Wellington Conference, and it began to emphasize more the mission day. So, in the development of this concept reflects to some extent of dichotomy held by scholars in terms of the divinity and humanity of mission. Of course, the mission has both, as we can see in John 20:21. Peace be with you, as the Father has sent me, I am sending you. So the two levels of sending is highlighted here. Not only is a mission of God, but also it's a mission of the church. But of course, the mission of God is a primary attribute, and mission of the church attach this mission of God. Okay, I will not discuss more of this. The mission has a dual nature, and the mission strategy also has a dual nature. We know that God is omnipotent, and He can accomplish His mission purpose without using any strategy. If one believes that God has a strategy to carry out His mission in human history, then this strategy is the Holy Spirit itself. This is the divine nature of the mission strategy. But of course, the mission strategy we use today also has a human nature. As we see that human nature, out of the fall, it can be follow the guide of the Holy Spirit. At the same time, it can be out of self-ambition. So it makes this human aspect of the strategy more complicated, especially the strategy, the mission strategy in the 19th century. The flowering of the mission coincides with the growth of the modern consciousness that emphasizes rationality and the application of scientific method to all areas of the life. So, assumption behind this modern consciousness was that every physical or social process was governed by certain principles. Based on this assumption, missionaries tend to depend on the methodology drawn from the physical or social science rather than the power of the Holy Spirit. So this is the risk of using the mission strategy. Now we come to the book of Acts. We will see how this is demonstrated. In the book of Acts, we can see three things. The first, Holy Spirit as God's strategy. So this book is called the Acts of the Holy Spirit, not only the Acts of the Apostle. All these are acts of the gospel of the Holy Spirit. The second, we can see there are so many successful mission activities by the apostles. They have the faith in Jesus Christ as their own mission strategy. But the third, we can see there are many failed examples. They try to manipulate the mission. For example, Ananias and Sapphira. They try to deceive the Holy Spirit. And also we can see the Simon, the practitioner of sorcery. He tried to use the money to buy the gift of the Holy Spirit. So in the book of Acts, we can see these three kind of things. So now the fourth point at the core of the mission study. So mission consists of the three layers. Mission activity consists of three layers. The outer layer of the human behavior, the middle layer of the faith in supernatural power, and the core is God's word, the Holy Spirit, the work of Holy Spirit. All mission strategy should be examined through the lens of these three layers. For those who failed in the mission strategy, their behavior did not go beyond the first layer and stop where their own benefits are focused. This kind of strategy is anthropocentric, confined in a closed system that rejects the intervention of the supernatural power. The assumption of this strategy, okay, we just neglect that. For those true missionaries who successfully carry out God's mission in the territory of Roman Empire, they broke the closed human system and saw the power beyond the boundary of that system. They stood on earth but had the faith in the resurrected Jesus with full submission and obedience to the guide of the Holy Spirit, thus linking the divine power and human factor together in their mission activities. Now the conclusion, just two small paragraphs. The conclusion. The power of the Holy Spirit cannot be limited to the framework set by human, and it can reach everywhere in whatever ways as He pleases, like a wind. It does not undergo the step of cultural study, building the connections and setting certain methods as current mission studies do, but directly point to the core of mission, the power from above. And then let this power flow to the whole world. This is the approach how the last. The work of the Holy Spirit can be both spontaneous and structured based on the book of Acts. And this reality provides a space for the study of mission study, to seek the point where the Holy Spirit works. It means that mission study and work of the Holy Spirit can coexist. Is that okay? Just 3 short sentences. Can I complete that?
Well, yeah. 3 short sentences.
Okay, 3. The first, seeking the power of the Holy Spirit is never the result of certain mission strategy or methodology, because the Holy Spirit always worked before human efforts. Second, mission strategy cannot be used as a mechanism to generate the power of the Holy Spirit. Third, therefore, doing mission strategy should directly point to the core, the power of the Holy Spirit, and stand at that core to seek the point where the power of Holy Spirit will pass. Thank you.